Eddie Clone wore for Halloween, y'all might think it's just a Halloween costume. I'm here to tell y'all, no, that's not the case. But what better way to promote something and make it look normal because it's Halloween? Out of all things, she was like, let me go all out on a Medusa reptilian thing.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scary and creepiest videos that's gonna make us question everything. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Seek the truth.
I'm going to show you some maps that are going to change the way you see some things. This map shows the share of people in Europe who want to tax the rich more money. Spain is the highest with 87%, and Estonia is the lowest with only 42%. This map shows Canada divided into 4 equal population areas. About equal. They're not exact numbers, but come on. This means a quarter of all of Canada lives in that tiny little red area, very close to the United States. This map shows how many people are French per 1,000 people in the US states. Quick dive down to New Orleans, just absolutely dominating over everybody. And then the entire Northeast, Maine has 118, which is the highest. This map shows the most expensive and least expensive land in America, which, to be honest, it just kind of looks like a map of populations.
Shopping malls proof that we live in a simulation.
Coming to the mall makes me realize we're living in a simulation. Like this
person has a point.
You're telling me this place right here that has 2 people working in there. They're selling enough hats just to pay 2 employees.
There's no
I
way.
don't believe it. It's not real. Like some of these stores, okay, like maybe, right? Like women's lingerie, underwear, whatever. The Buckle, I don't know. People still shop in there. Now you're telling me this place, I think, sells enough $2 earrings to pay their rent?
There's nobody there.
What do they do? There's like nail polishing candles. It's not. No, there's no way. Phone cases? No, not happening. This place. Okay, they're selling Dreamcatcher earrings and rocks. Never met anybody that bought one of those from the mall.
There's nobody at the mall.
It's all fake.
Like, once you start really thinking about what he's saying, it kind of makes sense. Like, their rent at the mall for these stores has to be in the thousands. And they have to pay employees. But when's the last time you went to a mall and they were actually busy? As always, stay weird.
That you're scared.
The spitting, especially at the end, man. I didn't even notice that until now. Yeah, I'm about to say, there's some freaking, stores in the mall. That's why I guess, or sometimes in the mall, there'd be like open spaces because I guess they can't keep up with the rent and stuff because I guess it really don't be busy at all sometimes.
This animatronic. This is the It Pennywise animatronic from Unit 70 Studios. The video at the end is so much worse. I had to edit it because if you've seen it or if you've read the book, you know what happens in this area, but the video doesn't have that. Anyway, this thing is absolutely terrifying. Also, yes, it's holding little Georgie, and Georgie's screaming at the top of his lungs in the video. It's so creepy. It's a little animatronic, but it's so scary. The animatronic of Pennywise himself is 12 feet tall. That is if you take a 6-foot tall person and times 2 it. That is terrifying. Also, like, why did they make him look like the Predator? Like, this is gorgeous. It's an awesome animatronic. I would honestly be terrified to go anywhere near this thing. And yes, I am repping Pennywise right now. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And are you scared of this animatronic? I bet you are. Let me know down below.
Imagine the kids seeing it. That's nightmare fuel to them, bro.
I am almost 100% sure that they are using Mandela effects to hide the things that are in front of us for reasons that are just unknown. But I want you to watch this video and take a listen to it.
Almost 100% sure that they taught us that blood was blue inside the body until it hits oxygen and then it turns red. And I just saw a video of a 6th grade teacher talking about why do her 6th graders think that blood is blue. And my first thought was, how do you, as a teacher, not know that blood is blue until it hits oxygen? And then I looked it up, and apparently that was never true.
So basically, everything you've been told when you were younger, especially in school, was just a lie then? Because I recall being told that blood inside of your body is blue until it comes outside your body and touches oxygen. And then, once it comes in contact with oxygen outside of your body, it then turns red. And we were also taught and told in science class that your heart was under your left breast. It turns out your heart is in the center of your chest. So please take this and keep it in the back of your mind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. But if this stuff was what they said it was back when we were younger or we were taught it, why are they trying to change it now? So I guess my question to you is blood actually red inside and out? Or is it blue and turns red when it comes outside of the body? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
I don't care what nobody says, bro. It's blue. I remember your dad being taught in school as well, man. I was like, they trying to put that Mandela effect on us, trying to make us forget. Yeah, I was taught that your blood is blue until it hits the air, then it turns red because it comes into contact with the oxygen. And when you said this, your heart is under your left breast instead of in the center, I don't remember that, man, but I won't pass them, bro. They trying to freaking outreach this information from our minds, bro.
Everything that has breath, praise the Lord. The Bible says that if we don't worship him, if we don't cry out, then the rocks will cry out, the creation will cry out. Did y'all see the video of these birds just in complete harmony as they were singing and worshiping the Lord? The birds were doing the same thing. Take a look at this video.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool.
They've been out dancing. You see this in 4K. They're dancing to the gospel music, man.
I feel like we, like us as Christians, as believers, as followers of Jesus, we have been very poor when it comes to worshiping the Lord lately. I just feel it in my spirit. Like we've all been so off, so much so that creation has to worship him and it has to go viral for people to kind of go back to the heart of worship. This video is very convicting. I know it's personally convicting, and I know it to y'all it's probably also very convicting. Oh man, this is insane. But this is a beautiful video. It's just showcasing that God created everything, and it's all for his glory. Remember, John 1:1, everything was created through Jesus and for Jesus. Amen.
Here's some of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time, part 2. On January 23rd, 2014, Justin Bieber was arrested for drag racing and failing a sobriety test in Miami Beach, Florida. While hearing what he was charged with, he blinks and his normal dark eyes turn into faded lizard-like eyes. What's even weirder is after this happens, he quickly looks away from the camera, and when he turns back, his eyes are normal again. Was this just a technology glitch, or is this evidence that Justin Bieber is something far more?
Did y'all see what Heidi Klum wore for Halloween? Y'all might think it's just a Halloween costume. I'm here to tell y'all, no, that's not the case. But what better way to promote something and make it look normal because it's Halloween? Out of all things, she was like, let me go all out on a Medusa reptilian thing. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below in the comments. I'm telling y'all, they be playing right in our face.
Did they connect to the Justin Bieber or freaking reptilian theory too? Got that back to back, man. What do you guys think, see? Because are they just putting us in our face so we can just like blow it off, man? It's just Halloween. It's just a costume. Or are lizard people among us?
Thought your house is haunted, you might want to check your crawl spaces, because I just heard the scariest story. So many years ago, this one family in Germany felt like they were experiencing a haunting in their house. Every night at their farm, it sounded like there was someone upstairs on the 3rd floor walking around, but when they would go up there would be no one. Also, there's a maid working for the family, and every night at midnight for about a week, her door pops open and there's no one on the other side, just darkness. She ended up quitting the job as a result of this, and she cited the house being haunted as the reason why she left. But a few weeks after she quits, that maid gets a letter in the mail. And in the letter, it says that the entire family, mom, dad, their daughter, 2 grandchildren, and their new housekeeper were all murdered in the middle of the night. Not only that, but it looked like someone had lured them out into the barn one by one, killed them with a pickaxe, and then stacked the bodies on top of each other. And one of the bodies had actually ripped out tufts of hair, meaning that she didn't die right away. She was alive for potentially hours after the attack. The following investigation is absolutely horrifying because of all the evidence that they found that someone may have actually been living in the house before the attacks took place and then for a while after the attacks took place as well. I cover the whole thing in this episode of the Heart Says Pounding podcast, and buckle up because it is a ride.
This man claims that he has been fasting for 9 years straight, eating no solid foods whatsoever and only drinking liquids. But apparently, that is only the beginning, because he says that he is planning to do this for the next 40 years straight, all the way up until the year 2056. Self-proclaimed Apostle Marcelino from Angola, also known as Prophet Elijah, has actually become a bit of a Christian celebrity. In fact, on this TikTok account, which appears to belong to him, he has nearly 500,000 followers, and he regularly gets millions of views. But apart from his sermons, worship songs, and even prophecies about world events like World War III, what's made Apostle Marcelino especially well known is his acts of faith. He says that in 2016, God instructed him to survive only on liquids for the next 40 years because why not? And 9 years later, he's apparently still going. At least that's what they're claiming. But, maybe God didn't specify the exact type of liquids that he could consume. Or maybe he has been drinking water, and it's a miracle. But he's also done other public demonstrations, like going on his knees and praying for 30 days straight. So the big question is, do you guys believe him or not?
That type of get out, modern day slavery shit is going on in Florida right now. So a guy and his girl was riding down the road in Florida and saw black people, and it looked like they was picking cotton. So he stopped his car to see what was going on, because that shit looked like a scene out of a movie. Matter of fact, look at this shit. Look at this shit right here.
Bro, this is not all right. One, what the fuck is they picking? It's the two wives that white man sitting in that truck over there. Why they picking this shit? She said grab a bag.
Yo, this shit don't make no sense, man.
Hi. How you doing?
Green beans?
All right. Are y'all okay out here? Y'all good?
This don't look right, man.
Okay. How long have y'all been working on it?
This don't look right at all. She just told him to go. Nah, man. Nah. That shit don't look right. When he drove up, it was a white man in the truck. The white man that was in the truck started driving off. He put his head down so he wouldn't be filmed. What the hell is going on over there? If you go to his page, you will see he has up like about 4 videos speaking about this. Now tell me that shit didn't look odd to y'all. What do they have those people out there picking? And why are those people out there like that? That shit don't make no sense, man. We're gonna have to get on top of this. I'm out.
Knowles
That was weird.
UFO encounter. Mother Faye, her sons Patrick, Sean, and Wayne, and their 2 dogs were driving from Perth to Melbourne, and they were approaching this bright light, and all of a sudden this light hovered above their vehicle. It freaked them out, so they just started driving as fast as they could. And this thing just stayed above their car. They said that it was vibrating their car. They could feel it in their heads. Oh my goodness. And then, all of a sudden, this light above them picked up the car like a magnet. Boom.
While it's driving.
While it's driving. They claim that they were telepathically communicated with, a feeling of presence trying to get inside of their minds.
Oh.
The air inside the car became thick with a strange black dust, and then this thing just threw the car off the side of the road. And they were able to drive afterwards, but their roof was dented in, there were scratches all up on the top and along the sides. They immediately drove to the police department and reported it. They were dismissed, but it remains one of the most credible and dramatic UFO close encounter cases in the southern hemisphere.
Crazy.
Scientists in China are onto something with their perfected synthetic skin. It's made from silicone polymers with microscopic pigment particles, multiple layers that mimic pores, wrinkles, veins, even the way light reflects off real skin. Right now, it's being used for hyper-realistic dolls in a multi-billion-dollar industry. But here's where this gets wild. Tesla's Optimus and Chinese humanoid robots already have the movement down. ChatGPT can hold conversations and mimic emotions. Combine those 3: advanced robotics, conversational AI, and this synthetic skin. People already get emotionally attached to ChatGPT through just text on a screen. They get upset when OpenAI updates the model because they miss the old personality. Now imagine that artificial intelligence has a physical body you can touch, human-like movements, a face that looks back at you. The attachment would be exponentially stronger. This could solve loneliness, help with elderly care, and provide therapeutic support. But it could also create the exact scenario from Ex Machina, humans forming stronger bonds with predictable AI companions than with complex, unpredictable real people. When artificial beings become indistinguishable from humans and people start preferring them, what happens to actual human relationships?
Hey, we got iRobot, Ex Machina, man. The examples out there, and we still going down this path, bro. I don't get it, man. I think that's a horrible idea. People getting attached to, like you said, ChatGPT and OpenAI already, man. Putting the face to it makes it worse.
Dr. Phil thing, the Turnabout Ranch. If you're like a bad kid on Dr. Phil, you'd get sent to one of these ranches. Daniel Bergoli, you know the bad baby kid?
Oh, yeah.
She came out recently with like an 8-minute YouTube video, and she's saying like the first 3 days she was not allowed to shower or sleep. My God. She would sit in a circle of rocks. Yeah. And then if she even went like this, the camp counselors would yell at her.
Yo, that's torture.
No, it is. There's a thing called reflection. You would send into an arena. There would be a horse, and you would just have to do laps and pick a horse while reflecting on your bad behavior.
What?
This whole thing is going down. Dr. Phil's not even a doctor. Like, so another person came out, Hannah. She's like, the first day I got assaulted by a male camp counselor. So that's why Daniel Bergoli is now trying to start a case with her, because they silenced the Hannah girl.
Yeah.
So since she has more clout, she's trying to come out and say,
I really have to have her back on this, because I truly believe that they did that. So, Dr. Phil, I'm going to give you from now till April 5th to issue an apology, not only to me, but to Hannah and any other child that you sent to Turnabout or any other program like this. And if you don't, I'm going to handle things my way.
Do y'all have dreams like this? Watch this.
How to know in your past life if you've been a mermaid or not? When you have unexplainable dreams of you breathing underwater and swimming.
Y'all, look, I've had multiple dreams of me breathing underwater. I had a dream where some people was chasing me with a net, and they was trying to take me away. So it was a cliff, and I ran full force, jumped into the water to sacrifice myself. But as soon as I got into the water, I breathed everything in, and I could breathe underwater. I'm like, what the heck? Here's some other things that I noticed that could possibly lead to you being a mermaid in a past life. And first, I know a lot of people try to count out the existence of mermaids, but there's a tribe in Africa, and even people in the Caribbean has said that they've seen mermaids through spiritual and voodoo practices. Also, the Dogon tribe said that there are highly advanced, amphibious-looking beings who taught them about the stars, and they're the protectors of water. Now, do you remember when I told you water holds memory? There was a doctor who said there are hidden messages in water, and it holds memory of feelings. Now, I feel mer people have existed long as water has. So that means being connected to water and meaning that you have perfect memory, like you're easy to remember things. You like taking baths more than you like taking showers. You would also have a loose sense of weight, like you're more relaxed, more flexible, you feel weightless, coming from water and stuff like that when you're floating around. You're very emotional, very empathic, protective. Beings of water also speak telepathically. So if you have a good intuition to where you can sense things and things just come to you, you have a compassion for animals and you don't like to hurt them. There can be astral mer people also. When you astral project, you can actually interact with them if you can attract to their vibratory rate. They're very compassionate. And you can also tell the difference in the taste of water. So let me know if y'all have any of these effects, because I have been having dreams of me breathing underwater a lot, even when I was a child. Y'all stay dangerous.
So, there is a bunker beneath
the White House?
No, I don't. So if you go 5 stories below the White House, you will come across a bunker where the president goes during the emergencies. But what most people don't realize is that there's a secret tunnel next to this bunker. This tunnel goes all the way from the White House to the Treasury Building. In the 1950s, President Truman built these bunkers, which served an important connection between the buildings. Oh, okay. Now, you will wonder why it ends in the Treasury Building. Well, it's for a good reason. This tunnel was built during the Pearl Harbor attacks, and they chose the Treasury Building because it has vaults in the basement, and these vaults can be converted into safety rooms. This connection allowed important people, like the president, to move quickly between the two places if there was a threat or crisis, and help them to hide safely. Not only that, but the Treasury Building also had all the resources which helped the government continue its regular work even during the emergency. So if any bad thing happens, for example, like apocalypse or any natural disaster, the American president will be the safest person.
Yo, check this out, family.
So while the skies were completely covered here in Florida and I could not see the blood moon, something wild was happening across the waters up in the skies of England. Now, before the blood moon even hit, people noticed that there was this fiery orange color in the sky that consumed a greater part of England. And then what followed later was flocks and flocks of seagulls. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. I've never in my life have ever seen seagulls come together as a unit unless it's for some food at the beach. It's like they're all gathering for some kind of ritual, like they know something cosmic or interstellar is about to take place. And again, birds in every culture were the messengers, y'all. They knew when the birds start acting funny or weird that there was something great coming, a great change or a cataclysm. What do the seagulls right over here in Nashville, Tennessee, there were thousands of birds seen flying around, y'all. What is going on here?
There are thousands of birds here going nuts in downtown Nashville.
And y'all see how red the sky is? Y'all see that, right?
Yeah. Something out of a video game, bro.
What's going on, man?
What the heck just happened? Y'all see that? It glitched. And then finally, this is what the moon was doing in England. Why is it? Y'all see that? What's happening here? The camera's not moving. It's the moon that's doing this. So were the birds responding to something? What? Y'all see that? Could the birds be responding to something cosmic happening? And what is this? What is this star over here? What is that? People were confused because they were taking pictures of the moon, but it appeared to be the sun, y'all. That is the moon. That is the blood moon. Why does it look like the sun that's peeping through the window? This is in England. It's in England. This is crazy, y'all. I've been saying that I truly believe that this new moon that people have been seeing is actually a second sun. And you can clearly see there is something going on here, a glitch, to show y'all that is like some type of sun, y'all. But let me know what you guys think about this video. This is what's happening on the other side of the world, y'all. Like, follow, share for more videos like this.
World, Part 1. Firstly, on top of a hill in Pennsylvania, some stones can be found that shouldn't actually be there, because there's no nearby high terrain where they could have originated. These are called the ringing rocks, because whenever something hits these stones, they make a strange ringing noise.
Ooh, interesting.
Next is the petrifying well in England, where water flows from a rock and turns whatever it touches into stone. As you can see, people often leave items like hats, teddy bears, or even bicycles, which appear to have already been turned into stone. Some people believe there's a mystical power, but the scientific reason behind this is the unusually high mineral content in the water, which forms a hard mineral shell on any object it comes into contact with. And within a few months, everything essentially becomes a stone statue.
Crazy things happening in the world right now that you probably didn't know about. First up, a brain chip was implanted into a paralyzed man, which allowed him to send out tweets with just his mind. This tweet was written by 62-year-old Philip O'Keefe by just thinking it. Next, NASA might know something that we don't, because apparently they hired religious scholars to prepare humanity for alien contact.
So there's a
what do you guys think happened?
Place where hell is on earth. In the Bible, Jesus said, one of my disciples named Antipas would die and be martyred, right? Now, Saint Antipas was martyred and he was killed in, you know that torture bowl? So they put somebody in like a metal bowl and like boil them alive. Yeah, that happened in Geneva, Switzerland. People are saying Geneva, Switzerland is the literal place of hell. It's literally the portal to hell, or that's at least where the devil resides, because that's what it says in the Bible. Now check this out. Do you know what else is in Geneva, Switzerland? What? CERN. Oh, CERN headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland, and the CERN logo is what? Six, fam. CERN is working on particle generation and messing with matter of the universe to tear our dimension with the supernatural and the natural, fam. Yeah. So what if theory? They're trying to open the portal to hell, bro. Here's the truth behind.
Whoa. At first, I'm about to say I wasn't kind of buying it, because I'm about to say I've heard, I think, like, nice things about Switzerland, but once he said sign, the dots were connected, man. Reviewing these clips together, we learned a lot about that, so the portal to hell is in Switzerland. I guess I can cross that place off my bucket list. We will not be going there.
And the Grinch. So we all know the Grinch absolutely despises Christmas.
However, at the end of the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story continues longer than you think.
Surprising facts about religion. Christianity is the most popular religion worldwide. Hinduism is supposedly the oldest religion worldwide. China is the most atheist country in the world. Around 1.2 billion people do not follow any religion. Somalia is ranked as the most religious country.
Wow, really? I never even would have guessed that about China. Like I said, watching these clips together, man, I'm always updating my knowledge base, so I'm grateful for you guys as well. We're learning together.
Trying your doorbell, because I have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure? I just have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive?
Who the hell is he talking
I
to?
just have a couple questions for you.
Oh, he glitching.
Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure?
My anxiety would be through the roof if this ever happened to me. This man was trying to enter this woman's home after he saw her inside her kitchen through an open window. And then he walked up to the door, which you see in this video, and told her that he wanted to R her and take her life. Police found him the next day. He identified himself as the Holy Spirit, and then he was arrested.
This is the disturbing truth about Disney World.
Weirdo.
In the Haunted Mansion at Disney theme parks, people who go on the ride commit suicide during the course of the ride and become a ghost. At the beginning of the ride, the ghost narrator says, the only way to escape the mansion is to die. And he then shows that he hanged himself. Near the end of the ride, there's a moment when the ride's vehicle turns around backwards and you go off a balcony, which represents you jumping to your death. Before that part of the ride, all of the ghosts are trying to scare you. But afterwards they sing excitedly and invite you to party with them, technically meaning that you're dead. This is a super disturbing ride, and it's crazy to think that this ride is at Disney.
You're probably on your phone too much, so here are some stats. So the Philippines consistently ranks the highest in screen time with an average of 10 hours per day, with Brazil and Thailand coming in second and third right afterwards with about 9, and Japan is the lowest with about 4.5. Men generally spend 10% more time online than women, likely due to men's interest in gaming, which adds that additional percent, but women consistently spend more time on social media and online retailers. 90% of screen time is spent on the mobile phone for the younger generations, though for millennials and greater, TV becomes disproportionately more prevalent. Generationally, 13 to 18-year-olds spend the most time on phones at 7.5 hours per day, with 18 to 24-year-olds spending 6.5 hours, and under 13-year-olds spending 5 hours. The silent generation predictably has the lowest at 2 hours and 30 minutes. Screen time has doubled in just the last 15 years and has gone up 75% since the pandemic. 50% of infants are even using their phones, and 50% of people reportedly wake up in the middle of the night to check their phones. And finally, most people pick up their phones an average of 200 times per day. So maybe put it down.
Videos that
Hey man, wish I got screen time. I try to keep mine below, yeah, like I said, trying to keep it below 8 hours, but that's crazy, man. You seen with the new generation, the stats just keep increasing. Speaking of word bad, bro. I saw a freaking toddler had a phone. I didn't have a phone until I was like damn near a teenager, bro. That's insane. It's going down to the younger generation, man.
that cannot be explained.
Do you hear that?
I hear it. He's still there.
Y'all done? All right, Jake, you go to bed now? All right.
Got this nice bottle of boiling water to keep my sleeping bag warm, but I'm not quite ready to go to bed, so I'm just gonna put it right there. On that note, I think I'm gonna get my bed set up. Always to put something in between the stove and my sleeping bag in case I roll around in the night. I don't want that sleeping bag even touching that stove. It'll melt a hole, or worse yet, catch on fire. Go sleep, and I'll see you guys in the morning.
Creepy last words
Brave
people
soul.
said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Charon, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one two-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Ooh. It's like he could feel their presence. Feel the energy, feel their aura. Some wild stories. Edit. Call it like we see it, man. If y'all see any edits, man, call them out.
This is the true story of the tooth fairy. In the 1950s, there was a woman named Tess Tickle, who was a dentist in Ohio. One day after work, she had discovered her husband having an affair with their neighbor. But before I continue, I advise you to check if your phone is being spied on. Save this video, click here, then here, and if you see this, delete it immediately. Now Tess was angry and heartbroken, but she didn't react. She just told him to pack his bags and leave. Around 7 months later, her husband knocked on the door, begging and asking her to fix his toothache. You see, he didn't have good insurance, and he knew that she used to fix his cavities for free. That's when Tess looked at him and smiled. She said, "Sure, meet me in my office tomorrow night." The next night, she put him under anesthesia. When her ex-husband finally woke up, he realized all his teeth were gone, and Tess was no longer there to be found. The next couple of years, men and women who are unloyal to their partners started reporting waking up to a dark figure who puts them to sleep and steals all their teeth. When police started to investigate, it led them to a cave in the forest. Then, they saw something disturbing. Type part 2 if you want to hear what happens next.
Oh,
Scariest
man.
sounds in space
Type
are
part 2.
100% real. A while back, NASA posted some audio clips on their official website of real sounds captured from objects in space. Now that should be impossible, right? There's no sound in space, so NASA's clearly a phony agency that fakes everything. Okay, relax. As much as I love the tinfoil hat stuff, NASA actually has something called an electromagnetic acoustic transducer, a device that can convert electromagnetic waves and other vibrations emitted by objects
Hmm.
Electricity, radio, ultrasonic, the only difference being the length of each wave. Some wavelengths we can detect with our eyes, like the visible light spectrum, and others with our ears, like sound, and still others that we humans can't even detect at all. This gadget takes those waves and maps them to the audio wavelength range that we can hear. As it happens, some electromagnetic waves in space even occur within our audio frequency range, and we can listen to those directly using this device. Well, from those readings, these have been rated among the scariest sounds in space that NASA has ever recorded. That just sounds like a howling breeze in the middle of winter to me. This one makes sense to me. A pulsar is a rapidly rotating dead star. I could imagine one would sound like that.
Milky Way. That's the
As
one
weird as
we
it is to say, that's exactly what I'd imagine the Milky Way galaxy to sound like.
Is this a supernova?
Nah, bro, that's fake, That's what I'm calling cap on. There's no way.
That's cap.
Nah. This one ain't real. That ain't real.
Quasar?
A little scarier, but this one sounds more real to me. Okay. A little creepier. Sounds like there's something going on over there. Now that right there, that's a black hole. Yeah, that's definitely not a place I want to be. Oh, well, looks like that's it. Let me know if you think these sounds are real or not.
Some of those are, I think some of those are cap, especially the supernova. That was like, no, I don't believe a supernova sound like that. If it is, I'll be really, really surprised if a supernova truly sounds like that. But to be able to even hear in space, first time I heard of that.
Things humans weren't meant to see. A man traveled to Egypt and placed a remote-controlled car inside one of the pyramids. The original poster claimed to have found something the government would want to keep a secret. He also wanted to be paid $5 million for the rest of the footage to be revealed, but it never did.
He's going deep into those pyramids. Definitely gonna find something he ain't supposed to see.
As it gets deeper, it shows what appears to be a tall figure inside the chambers.
Definitely need the rest of that.
Me and a bunch of my friends at Fantastic Fest got to see the premiere of Terrifier 3. And not only did I get to see the movie and meet the freaking cast and director of Terrifier 3, I was sincerely blown away. Look, it's no surprise I've been immensely hyped for this movie. And also went into the theater being a big fan of the Terrifier series and wanting to have a good time. But I was not expecting to sincerely really like this as a movie. Because bottom line, this is the best out of the entire Terrifier franchise. Because not only does it dial up the intense scenes with art and the gore to an 11, but it actually has plot and moments with our characters. Now, of course, there's the big question that a lot of people want to know. Is there a moment in the movie that beats the hacksaw scene from Terrifier 1? Is there a moment in Terrifier 3 that beats the room scene in Terrifier 2? And my answer is weird, but that kind of depends upon you. There are some moments in this movie, especially the first 10 10 minutes, where the specific moment may not be as like heavily gory intense as the hacksaw or the bedroom, but the weight of what Art is doing to who he's doing it to is where it gets really intense. Like, they basically took Art from Terrifier 1 and put him in the same tone of movie like Terrifier 2. Yeah, mean, scary Art is back, and he's more brutal than ever. And I think for mainstream audiences, that's going to be the biggest turnoff. But as fans of the Terrifier series, I was laughing through the entire thing. Maybe I'm just messed up, maybe I'm absolutely sick. But just Damien Leone has just an amazing showcase of some messed up gore. Like, the chainsaw scene in particular, talk about moments before disaster. So I'll say this, I absolutely think this is the better of the three films, especially when it comes to just the overall movie aspect of it. The runtime, the editing, the pacing, 1,000 times better. This movie is definitely not going to be for everybody. But if you go in expecting and knowing the tone of the Terrifier films and what Damien Leone is trying to accomplish with them, I think you're really going to love it. Oh, and the Ice Nine Kills song and music video at the end of Terrifier 3 is arguably better than the movie.
If someone is trying to make you decide in a hurry, they are probably giving you a bad deal. Walk away. If someone has a panic attack, start breathing regularly and loudly. The person that is panicking will subconsciously start breathing in rhythm with you. When a group of people laugh, they tend to look at the person they like the most. Nervousness and excitement have the same body reaction, so if you're nervous for a speech, trick yourself into thinking you're actually excited. If you think someone is watching you, fake a yawn, then watch them. Get someone to contribute to an idea and they will more likely accept it. If you whisper to someone, it's more likely they will whisper back even if there's no good reason to lower your voice. If you want to make someone feel uncomfortable, look at their forehead while you're talking to them. If you want somebody to open up to you, ask them a question. If the person only partially answers it, remain silent and keep eye contact. This will pressure the person into talking more. If you want to be more persuasive, reduce the use of the words I think and I believe. Touching someone on their shoulder or on their knee creates a stronger emotional bond with that person. Chew gum if you are still nervous. Our brains assume that if we are eating, then we are not in any immediate danger, lowering our fight or flight response. When you approach a group of people, notice if they turn their feet towards you or away from you. If their feet point away from you, you are probably not welcome. Subtly nodding when people are talking to you indicates that you are genuinely interested in what they are having to say and they're going to like you more. If you take a moment to look at someone's eye color when meeting them, you'll be giving them the perfect amount of eye contact. If there is a mirror behind where you are ordering, you are less likely to be rude because nobody wants to see themselves actually be rude. If you buy the first pitcher at the bar with your friends, you'd be surprised how far you could go by saying, I bought the first one. If someone is making jokes at your expense, act like you can't hear them and ask them to repeat it multiple times. By the time they say it a third or fourth time, nobody's laughing. When someone remembers you, they are most likely going to remember the first memory and the last memory of you. So make sure you always leave a good last impression too. After you have learned how to do something new and have done it yourself, the fastest way to retain that information is to teach somebody else.
True.
If you have a song stuck in your head and you can't get it out, try and listen to the whole song all the way through while singing it. Your brain is treating the song like an unfinished task in your subconscious. Plan something for every Wednesday that you can look forward to. You'll start to look forward to it on Monday, and by the time Wednesday comes around, you're already halfway through the week and almost to the weekend. If you ask someone to do a small favor for you, their subconscious mind is going to register that they like you because they're doing a favor for you. Showing the palms of your hands while talking to someone subconsciously communicates that you have nothing to hide and that you can be trusted. Whenever you're introducing a new idea to someone and you lead with the words, this might not be for you, but it intrigues their interest and makes it feel like it probably is for them. If you need to remember to do something tomorrow, put something in your room out of place. If you don't want to get out of bed, throw your pillow across the room. The next day, you will see this item out of place and it will jog your memory of what you need to accomplish. If you're procrastinating, just Stop telling yourself how much work you have to do. This will overwhelm you. Instead, tell yourself you only have to work for 5-10 minutes, and then you're likely going to continue working past those minutes.
True.
People who are lying will normally blink more than normal, hide the palms of their hands, glance up to the right, mess with their hair, or use abnormally long sentences. If you're trying to get over a breakup, do not use fictional scenarios. Imagining your person with someone new is only going to make you more angry and sad about something that's not even real.
Yep.
If you want to create a deeper connection with someone you're interested in, ask them these 2 questions. What do you think we have in common? And what do you like most about me? If you are suffering from racing thoughts, use the 3-3-3 rule. Name 3 things you see, 3 things you hear, and 3 parts of your body. This will help center your mind and bring you back to the present. When someone apologizes for something that you don't feel like was that big of a deal to apologize for, they're probably telling you subconsciously what actually bothers them if it was done to them. If they apologize for interrupting you, they probably really just don't like being interrupted themselves. Follow for more psychology hacks.
You just freaking blowing our reality right open with those hacks, bro. He has some
The CEO was charged for a murder that happened 30 years ago. On September 5th, 1992, 25-year-old computer engineer Lori Houts was found strangled and dead in her car in Mountain View, California. When Lori was found, the rope was still around her neck and her footprints were found inside of her car on her windshield. Police immediately put all their attention on Lori's boyfriend's roommate, John Kevin Woodward, who was 28 years old at the time. He became a prime suspect when police found out that he was jealous that Lori was in a relationship with his roommate. In 1992, investigators were able to find John's fingerprints outside of Lori's car, but they were never able to prove that he was inside her car. He didn't have an alibi for the night of Lori's murder, and they tried to convict him twice, but they were never able to because there was insufficient evidence. However, in 2020, investigators started to re-examine Lori's case and found more evidence against John. They analyzed 80 fingerprints and used new developments in forensic science to analyze the rope used in Lori's murder. This is when the test results indicated more fingerprints matching John's, and he was linked to the rope used in Lori's murder. At this point, John lives in the Netherlands and he's now 58 years old. And he's also the CEO of a tech company called Reed Tech. This guy was living the dream. But that all came to an end on July of this year when police were waiting for him at the airport in New York, and when he landed, they arrested him. He now faces life in prison if he's convicted.
That is crazy. He was the CEO of a tech company.
In February 2018, Jennair Gerardo found out that Mark, her husband of 25 years, was having an affair with his coworker, Meredith Chapman. Mark told Jennair that he was filing for divorce in May of that year. Jennair then hired a company to hack her husband's phone, and she was able to obtain hundreds of texts, images, and recorded conversations. She also bought audio surveillance equipment, a lock-picking kit, GPS for both Mark and Meredith's car, and DNA test kits for his clothes. She then bought a gun on March 20th. On April 23rd, Jennair was supposed to meet Mark for dinner to discuss their divorce. She never showed, but sent him this text instead. She then drove a rented vehicle to Meredith's house, where she broke into her home and waited for her. When Meredith walked in the door, Jennair shot her in the head.
Unsolved Mysteries Part 1. In 2011, divers were searching the Baltic Sea when they came around this big, huge rock circular formation. It was said to have stairs and even creepy entranceways. Some believe it's some type of experimental ship from World War II. Strangely, it's made out of magnesium, iron, and titanium. And there's a strange 40 megahertz signal coming from around it. Could it be aliens? Could it be our ancient ancestors' technology? Scientists still don't know to this day, and it baffles them. What do you guys think it is? And like this video for part 2.
Could be Atlantis, bro. Lost City of Atlantis. That's my prediction.
24-year-old mukbanger just died after her stomach ripped open on live stream. This was also a 10-hour live stream. It was very lengthy, and she was consuming a lot of things: cake, chicken, everything, you name it. She was a Chinese woman by the name of Pan Xiaoting. She died last week from a stomach rupture on the live stream after consuming over 15 pounds of food. The autopsy report suggested that her stomach literally ripped open because there was a lot of undigested food in there and the stomach was distended. This was not the first incident either. She was hospitalized a few months ago for her stomach bleeding for the same thing, eating a lot of food on a live stream. And it's sad too, because even her parents are begging her to stop. A lot of mukbang culture has become a little toxic. The more outrageous it gets, the more viewers, these people get and the more money they make. It kind of incentivizes them to destroy their bodies in this way. I really feel for this young girl and her family. It's just so sad. Hopefully other mukbangers see this and they take this as like a warning. Just be more careful. Your stomach can literally rupture. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
This 21-month-old baby went missing 51 years ago and has just been reunited with her family. In 1971, Melissa Highsmith was a baby. Her parents had just separated and her mum, Alta, was looking for someone to help with childcare so she could try and keep her job. She posted an advert in a local newspaper and got a reply from someone called Ruth Johnson. Ruth picked Melissa up from Atla's roommate one day when Atla was at work. The roommate reported that Ruth seemed to be nice and she was well dressed. She was wearing a bonnet and white gloves. However, tragically the woman never returned and this was the last time her mum would see Melissa for 51 years. The local community set out looking for baby Melissa, but the police had little to go off. Atla had been absolutely desperate for childcare and with the threat of losing her job hadn't been able to visit Ruth at her address prior to agreeing to the childcare. Ruth and Atla had arranged to meet prior to the initial babysit, but Ruth failed to show up. With limited options, once Ruth got back in contact, Atla took her up on her offer. Melissa's case would go cold for half a century. In November 2022, there was a false sighting of Melissa. Despite the disappointment that this caused the family, it also spurred them on to start looking again. Melissa's dad submitted a home DNA test kit. The results that came back were shocking. The test was able to link Melissa's parents to grandchildren they didn't even know about. Melissa's dad was able to get hold of a marriage record and find Melissa on Facebook. Melissa was going by the name Melanie Walden. At first, Melanie was very skeptical when Jeffrey explained the situation. He managed to convince her that he was genuine by explaining to her the birthmark that he knew that she had on her back. Melanie agreed to a DNA test which once and for all confirmed she was missing baby Melissa. She finally got reunited with her family and revealed she'd actually been raised in a town less than 20 minutes from where she was snatched. Now, no information has been released about the woman who raised Melissa apart from the fact that she was abusive and caused Melissa to leave home when she was just 15. When Melissa confronted her about the news that she now knew, the woman that raised her admitted to knowing that she had been kidnapped. Melissa is now going by her birth name again and wants to have another wedding ceremony so that her dad can walk her down the aisle.
That is crazy, bro. She was only just 20 minutes away. So that woman just snatched her up, took her from her parents, and just said, I'm only 20 minutes away from y'all.
The strangest unsolved mysteries from each state. Today, we have Iowa. So you guys know the movie The Exorcist? Well, it's partially based off of this. This happened in Erling, Iowa, which they called the Erling Exorcism, which was the exorcism of Anna Eklund. Anna was a normal girl from Iowa. She went to church, she said her prayers, and then at the age of 14, she started showing signs of possession. Suddenly one day, she just could not enter the church, and she showed extreme aversion to anything religious, which was really weird because she was a very religious girl. It was reported that demons were literally speaking through her in Latin and other ancient languages that she had never learned. There was also this pea-sized lump right under her skin that you could see that would just freely move through her body. At the age of 26, Anna got help from a priest that performed the last sanctioned exorcism on her. It took 23 days with a lot of difficulty, but finally the last several demons that were in her were exorcised. Her case still remains a mystery and people debate whether or not she was actually possessed or just insane. Let me know in the comments if you think she was actually possessed or if she was just crazy.
There is this infamously mysterious child corpse in Italy that appears to open her eyes every single day. It was like over 100 years ago that Rosalia Lombardo had passed tragically, and her father, who was mourning the loss, had her embalmed using these secretive methods that, to this day, have kept her frozen in time. Visitors do come from all over the place to see the preservation up close, but there's something that's very strange here that happens on a daily basis. Her eyes will open only for a moment, twice a day. But the truth here is that her embalmer had actually preserved her with her eyes slightly opened, which has created this illusion. It is known as mummy blink because the eyes are partially open so that when the sun comes through the catacomb but twice a day, it temporarily gives this impression that she is fluttering her eyelids open.
Maybe time to leave the UK
Weird.
while you have the chance. There is very mixed opinions on these new plans that have just been put forward, so let me know your thoughts. As I'm sure most of you know, prisons are pretty much at capacity, if not already in the UK, which is like completely overflowing the system. For a while they've been looking at the ways they can reduce the amount of people in the prisons and rehabilitise people in different ways. But these are essentially the new plans that could be here now. As a way to get prisoners out of jail, they will have very strict measures against them, including bans from pubs, they won't be able to enter them, bans from football matches, so you won't be going and seeing your team, not being allowed to concerts or music festivals, along with having regular alcohol and drug tests by officers to check that you're basically not being bad. There will also reportedly be driving limits, travel bans, and restriction zones confining them into specific areas where they live. As I say, it's pretty divided because some people are saying, well, this isn't going to stop anyone, just because you can't go to the pub or a football match. But other people are saying this is a very good idea because it can basically lower the prison population, free up space, and basically mean these criminals can't do anything when they're on the outside, but who knows? Let me know your thoughts and I'll keep you updated.
So I wanted to bring this case to light. This is the case of the mother and son who were murdered in their own home in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Hi, I'm Sonia, and I have been in the mental health field for over 10 years. I like to spread knowledge on recent cases and a lot of cases that don't get as much attention as they should do. This is Shanquille and her son, Zavion Watts. Their case remains unsolved. They were killed in their own home, and police have not arrested anyone for the crime. Police have stated that they did not think it was a forced intrusion, and that whoever came into the home and killed Shanquille and her son knew them and knew them very well.
So who did it? Any list of suspects?
So this murdered Texas couple's missing baby has finally been found after 42 years. And the story is crazy. Let's take a look. So in 1981, Dean Klaus, his wife Tina Lynn, and their baby Holly disappeared without a trace in East Texas. The only clue was from an anonymous caller who said that he had found Dean's car in California. And he claims that 3 women in white robes drove it from Texas to California. Police were actually able to track down one of the women who called herself Sister Susan, and she claims that Dean had joined a cult and renounced all earthly possessions. And she wouldn't tell them anything else. It actually wasn't until late last year that human remains found around the same time were confirmed to be Dean and Tina's. Dean had been beaten to death and Tina had been strangled. But that didn't answer what happened to Holly. This year, investigators were searching for human remains around where Dean and Tina were found. And that's when they got a genetics hit that Holly was alive and in Oklahoma. But get this, when they were talking to Holly, they found out that she had been left on the steps of a church in Arizona by none other than 3 women in white robes. Investigation is still pending, and they are really trying to figure out who these white-robed women are. But for now, at least we know that Holly is alive and well.
These cults, man, are dangerous, bro.
Nothing scares me more than movies that are based on a true story. Because what do you mean this family was haunted and physically attacked by a demon in their home? At first I was hesitant to watch The Conjuring because I knew how terrifying it would be, and I was not wrong. Not to mention, while filming this movie, the cast experienced a lot of paranormal activity, like bruises, flickering lights, strange noises, and Vera Farmiga, who played Lorraine Warren, one day woke up to 3 scratch marks on her thigh, which if you know what that means, I'd be scared too. But still, here I am at the advanced screening of The Conjuring. Don't let the smile fool you. I had my eyes closed throughout probably half of the movie. Also, the only seat available was right in front of the screen, so it made everything 10 times more scarier. After the movie was done, Warner Bros. Took us to a mirror maze at the scene, which after watching that movie, I don't think anything else can top that. But if you don't get scared easily, I dare you to go watch The Conjuring, which will be out in theaters on September 5th.
You know The Conjuring's on there, man, but Seekers, man. Y'all know me, bro. I don't do scary movies like that at all. They realized I had a priest there after the movie, man.
A woman texted her boss that she couldn't come into work because she had been kidnapped, and now her kidnapper has been charged. On April 8th, police responded to a Fargo, North Dakota home after a woman reportedly sent her boss a text message claiming she had been kidnapped by her ex-boyfriend and that she wouldn't be able to come into work. Thankfully, her boss notified authorities, and when officers arrived at the residence, it was the woman who opened the door. According to a statement from the Fargo Police Department, the woman was rescued safely from the scene, after which she told police that her ex, Anthony Peterson, had held her hostage at gunpoint in her home and didn't let her leave the residence for days. Police then found Peterson inside the home, asleep on a couch and in possession of a handgun. The gun was allegedly stolen, and Peterson also is not allowed to have a firearm in his possession, as he has had several convictions dating back to 2003 and as recently as 2023. These convictions include violating a protection order on 3 separate occasions, stalking, and domestic assault. Last week, 39-year-old Peterson was arrested and charged with unlawful possession of a firearm and terrorizing with a dangerous weapon in connection with the incident. The public defender has said that he is expected to plead not guilty, but he is also facing other charges including stolen property and felonious restraint. The woman's name has not been released, but hopefully she is safe and is recovering from this clearly traumatic event. But the fact that she just texted her boss saying, "Hey, I can't come into work because I'm being kidnapped and held hostage by my ex," crazy.
What happened to this girl? So the internet is so concerned for this YouTuber named Kate Young. She made mukbang videos, and if you don't know what that is, they're videos where you're just eating and people are watching you. She was eating so much food in such a quick amount of time, as if she was being forced to eat. The videos are also really concerning because you can see she's blindfolded in all of the videos to conceal her identity. And you would maybe think, like, oh yeah, like, she just doesn't want people to know who she is. That's fine, it's the internet. But on top of that, she looks like she's kind of being abused. Like, I don't know, I get a bruise here and there, but girl looks busted in her video. And behind the camera, you hear this person saying, faster, come on, things like that. She always looks super anxious in her video. But in these videos, she's eating so fast that she actually chipped her tooth in one and kept eating. When she chips her tooth, she shows it to the camera, and it's literally rotted. She leaves hidden messages in her videos, like capital letters spelling out SOS or help in her sentences that she writes on the video. If you want a video of this, let me know. She also leaves Morse code messages in her videos saying SOS and help. I can show you if you want, just let me know. And at the end of one of her videos, you can see her mouth the words help me. Check out part 2 if you want to see theories about who she might be. Follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more content.
The strangest unsolved mysteries from each state. Today we have Tennessee. This is a picture of Blair Adams, and it was the summer of 1996 when all of his friends and his mother even said that he was acting very strangely. It was July 5th when he went to the bank and withdrew all of his money and then went to a safe deposit box and took out all of the gold, the jewelry, and the cash. This was all happening in British Columbia in Canada, and he wanted to go to the United States. When he tried to cross the border, they flagged him as a possible drug carrier and threat because of him carrying all of this money, and he was unmarried. And because of that, he was denied entry into the United States. Eventually, he made it past the border by car and made it to Tennessee. On July 11th, workers found Blair's body at a construction site with all of his gold, all of his cash, everything. There were multiple cuts and scratches all over his body, and one was determined on his face to be caused by a crowbar or a club. A medical examiner determined that the cause of his death was a severe blow to the abdomen. But the craziest thing was, everything that he took out of the bank and a safe was still with him. The killer did not want what he had, and nobody knows why he went to Tennessee.
Who was after him?
Evil Teen Girls Rotting in Prison, Part 4. Courtney Christine Schulhoff was born into a 2-parent household in Washington, D.C. on December 27, 1987. By age 15, her parents were divorced, and she was living with her father, Stephen Schulhoff, in Altamonte Springs, Florida. She didn't make things easy on her aging father. She had dropped out of high school, but was still trying to get her GED. In addition, she was involved with Michael Marin, a 20-year-old who she met at a dog race track across from her old high school. Michael wasn't just a predator. He was also a thief, as he got in trouble with the law for stealing his father's car in the past. As you can imagine, Stephen was unhappy to see this older man with a criminal record dating his daughter. He tried to keep them apart, but they continued to see each other. At some point during their relationship, Schulhoff began to tell Michael that her father was physically abusive toward her. Michael fell for her lies and was lured into a plan to get rid of her dad. On February 10, 2004, Stephen was asleep in his bedroom. Courtney let Michael into the apartment she shared with her father and directed him toward a baseball bat. She went across the street while Michael grabbed the bat and beat her father to death. After the heinous crime, the couple took Stephen's truck to a McDonald's 20 miles away in Orlando, Florida. The next day, they came back to the apartment. They were planning to transport the body to a nearby bridge and throw it in the water, but they never got the chance. Stephen's girlfriend, Elaine Book, showed up at the apartment. Book saw Courtney and Michael flee just before she walked in and discovered her lover's body. She contacted authorities, and within hours, the deranged couple was arrested. Courtney claimed her father had beaten her on the 9th, and they decided to kill him, but there was no evidence she was being abused. Courtney went to trial on September 26, 2006. The next day, she was found guilty of first-degree murder and received life without the possibility of parole. In her final statement before she was hauled off to prison, she claimed she was the killer, not Michael. She would say the same thing when she testified on Michael's behalf at his trial in April 2007. She was trying to save him from a death sentence. Michael was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. In 2017, Shuloff was resentenced to 40 years in prison. She will be released when she is 56 years old.
That's an insane story to hear. Where he at? In the woods?
In 1969, this little boy vanished under the strangest circumstances near the Appalachian Trail, and his disappearance is still unsolved today. On June 14th, 6-year-old Dennis Martin went camping with his family in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. On this trip, Dennis was joined by his father, grandfather, and older brother. It was their Father's Day tradition, and on this trip, Dennis was just 6 days away from turning 7 years old. Sadly, we don't know that he ever made it to that milestone. Together, the family camped overnight after a hike to Russell Field, and the next day they set out to hike Spence Field near the Appalachian Trail, where they had planned to spend the night once more. At the time of his disappearance, it was 4:30 in the afternoon, still completely daylight out. Dennis, along with his older brother and additional children from another family, ran to hide behind some bushes to pop out and scare the adults. Dennis was seen by his father going behind a bush to hide. The other children popped out to surprise the adults, but Dennis never did. After about 5 minutes of waiting for him, his father went to check behind the bush that he was sure his son hid behind, but he wasn't there. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. His father immediately began searching for him. He would even run down the trail for nearly 2 miles in a desperate attempt to find his son. After several hours of searching, they sought the help of the National Park Service Rangers. They had nearly 1,400 people looking for Dennis, and they would later stumble upon a shoe and a sock believed to belong to him. Then a set of footprints, one footprint with a shoe and the other barefoot. The set of footprints led to a stream where they disappeared. Dennis's father still believed that his son was somehow abducted. After all, how could he have run off without being seen? His father noted that Dennis was wearing a bright red shirt, so he should have been easy to track down. On the afternoon that Dennis went missing, another man that was at the campground around the time of his disappearance recalled hearing a sickening scream. Shortly after, he witnessed what he described as a shaggy, unkempt man running up the trail with what looked like a piece of red cloth slumped over his shoulder. What do you think happened to Dennis Martin?
She was in the woods with them.
Because SpongeBob SquarePants told her to. 22-year-old Justine Johnson lived with her 3-year-old daughter Sutton Mosser in Michigan. Even though she had her own apartment, she mainly stayed with her parents at their home along with her 2 brothers. On September 16th of 2021, Justine's brothers noticed that Justine's behavior was very odd. They hadn't seen Sutton and they asked Justine where she was, and Justine would reply back to them saying, "Mind your own effing business." Later that night, Justine had left the home, and when she came back to the home, she was acting very strange. One of the brothers had stepped out of the home into the backyard, and that's when they saw a foot sticking out of a trash bag. He decided to take a closer look at that trash bag, and when he did, he saw Sutton's lifeless body inside. This was reported to police, and Justine was arrested. Justine ended up confessing, and she said that she was suffering from lack of sleep, hallucinations, and withdrawals from substances. She then claimed that she was told by SpongeBob SquarePants to take Sutton's life. Justine's mother claimed that she didn't believe that her daughter did this, and it had to be someone else. If Justine is convicted, she could be facing a life sentence without the possibility of parole.
It's official. Akon City, Africa's promised real-life Wakanda, has just been abandoned. Permanently. This is what it was supposed to look like next year, and this is what it looks like today. So what the hell went so wrong?
People sometimes will write articles about something like this could never happen in Africa. It's been 2 years, the construction hasn't started. I hear that all the time. We're building a city. You don't build a city in 24 hours.
Turns out, the city can't be built in 7 years either. Because rewind back to 2018, rapper Akon announced that he was going to build a $6 billion futuristic city on the Atlantic coast of Senegal, the country where he spent a lot of time growing up. And the plan was revolutionary. It would run on 100% sustainable energy, had cutting-edge smart city infrastructure, its sole medium of exchange would be a cryptocurrency called Acoin, and most importantly, the city would serve as a symbol for what was actually possible for Africa's future. And Senegal themselves, they were hyped. They even asked the people that were currently living on that land to move, in exchange for a fee, of course, also a fee that still to this day they claim has never been paid. And that's where the first cracks in Akon City begin, because 3 years after its initial announcement, local residents started reporting that aside from a single ceremonial foundation stone, virtually no construction had begun. Now, Akon said it was the pandemic, and look, hey, 2020, it screwed the whole world over. But then came these scam allegations. In 2022, Akon's former business partner asked a New York judge to freeze Akon's assets, and also filed a $4 million lawsuit claiming that Akon City displayed many of the trademark characteristics of a Ponzi scheme and a pyramid scheme. However, despite this, Akon remained positive. He took the nearly $1 million settlement on the chin and kept insisting Akon City is 100,000% moving forward, and the critics are going to look super stupid when it's built. But the years kept rolling around. By the end of 2023, The Guardian went to Akon City, and they found no more than a mere skeleton of one building and some cattle and goats grazing on its overgrown fields. No roads, no housing, solar farms, or towers like he had promised by the end of that year. Then 2024 rolled around, and even Senegal at this point was getting pissed. They gave Akon 2 weeks to begin meaningful construction, or they would start taking away the land. Problem is, crypto went into a bear market, and Acoin wasn't doing so well. In fact, today it is down 100%. And that was a big financial pillar, especially to repay investors. So that, coupled with the lack of progress and missed payments, was the final nail in the coffin. Akon once said, "My goal is to try and build something that people deem impossible in Africa." And unfortunately, for the entire continent, he proved people right. Because this week they announced the Akon City project no longer exists, and Akon himself will instead work on something more realistic.
Damn. So I guess you have to build it off to a smaller size, man. Scale it down for future Wakanda
This
City.
mother sold her 6-year-old for her eyes and her skin. A 6-year-old girl went missing in South Africa last year, and her mother was just convicted of kidnapping and trafficking her. The young girl, Jocelyn Smith, has yet to be found right now. She was last seen with a local healer who wanted her for her eyes and her skin. Her mother, Kelly Smith, and 2 others were convicted on trafficking charges on May 2nd. One of the neighbors came forward and confessed that the mother was confiding in her plans to sell her to this local healer. The young girl's teacher also testified in court, asking the mother where the child is. The mother then replied to the teacher saying she's in a container on a ship going to West Africa. They found the woman who was the local healer and questioned her, but they released her due to lack of evidence right now. Everything in this story is true, and she did sell her daughter. She is probably somewhere in a container or somewhere just getting trafficked, and who knows if she's even alive at this point. The court decision was made. Smith was found guilty. She broke down into tears, and everybody in the courtroom started clapping and applauding, rightfully so. Hopefully Jocelyn Smith is found soon. Let me know your thoughts.
You don't want to know what's inside this fridge, just trust me. And please, please, please be warned, this is a hugely disturbing case. This case began in February 2010 when authorities in West Philadelphia received a phone call. And I know you want to sing, because so do I. The clinic in question belonged to Dr. Kermit, and yes, that's his real name. They thought that he was running an illegal pharmacy from the clinic, but what was actually going on behind closed doors was so much worse than anyone could ever have imagined. Now, Dr. Kermit started out with good intentions. He was incredibly intelligent, he was very smart, After completing medical school, he dedicated his life to helping those in need. These were people in poverty, teenagers struggling with substance abuse issues, refugees, people who just had no money. He was pro-choice, but as we will dive into, some of his practices were just absolutely horrifying. This man really did want to help underprivileged people, like I said, and was often going against in the initial stages, like best practice, due to trying to help people who were desperate. He would just totally go against common sense. In a lot of instances, pregnant women would just show up at the clinic very, very pregnant and very desperate, and he would go against regularly the 24-week limit. And he actually started raking in the money doing this. Word was getting round that he would perform operations on people way past the legal limits, and he was just getting these people in as business. On some days, he was even reportedly making as much as $15,000 doing this. It made absolutely no sense though if you saw the state of the clinic. There was blood everywhere. Things were like blood stained. There was broken equipment, and I don't know if you're ready for the next bit. Stuffed inside of juice cartons and cat food containers were fetuses. Dozens of hands, feet, you name it. It begs belief. I don't understand how things could have got so horrific. It was found to have been using unqualified staff. These were people who were not properly medically trained. And during the police investigation into this clinic, investigators realized that this doctor had been getting his employees to murder babies after they'd been born alive. I'm honestly just not going to go into any further detail than that. You can find it online, but I just really feel it's just so wildly sickening. The women were looked after in absolutely filthy, disgusting, unsanitary conditions. They were regularly sedated and given medication by untrained staff. Dr. Kermit had also been apparently prescribing controlled medications to people who just simply didn't need them. He was also charging them an absolute bloody fortune. Now, he argued that he was helping people, and I do think he started to try and help people, but for some reason it spiraled way out of control, and honestly, he just turned evil. He was ultimately convicted of murdering 3 babies, as well as the involuntary manslaughter of a patient who died under his care because she was given a lethal dose of a sedative. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility.
If you're thinking about going skiing or snowboarding this winter, you might want to watch this video. On March 2023, Francis Zuber was skiing on Mount Baker in Washington when he randomly noticed a snowboard just laying on the snow. As he got closer to the snowboard, it began moving around, so he realized that there was someone stuck beneath the snow. The man trapped beneath 6 feet of snow was 40-year-old Ian Staker, who fell headfirst in a tree well. And a tree well is an area around the base of a tree that gets filled with snow, so if you happen to get yourself in there, it is difficult to get out. Ian was stuck beneath 6 feet of snow for about 10 minutes before Francis spotted him. Francis began removing the snow with a shovel that he had in his bag, and you can see in this video how much snow there was and how deep Ian was in there. Ian said that he was pretty sure he wasn't going to make it out on that day, especially because he had been under the snow for about 10 minutes already, and he knew that if he went over 15 minutes, he would suffocate. In fact, Ian would go on to say that one of his close friends passed away a couple of months earlier after he fell in a tree well on that same mountain. And what's absolutely incredible, and what some people call a coincidence, is that Francis, the man that saved his life, wasn't even supposed to be skiing on that side of the mountain on that day, and the only reason he was there was because he ran into some of his friends and decided to go skiing with them on that mountain.
These are this.
Believe in fate seekers, man. Was it fated for him to be on that mountain that day, like I said, to save that man? For that man, I think to be in not falling that same exact tree well as his friend, but to even speaking, I guess, snowboard on that mountain after what happened to his friend, that was a sign right there. Sometimes you gotta pay attention to the sign seekers. You never know.
Strangest things found inside people's bodies. Part 7. In 1999, an Indian man became the world's first pregnant man, even though he was born a biological male. You see, one day, Sanju Bhagat was dealing with a swollen stomach and was having difficulty breathing. So he went to the doctor to get it checked out, where they discovered a large mass inside him. When they took him in for surgery, they found gallons of liquid inside his stomach and an underdeveloped fetus. This was because Sanju was once a twin and consumed the other sibling inside the mother's womb, but this wasn't discovered until this moment. Next, in 2003, a Japanese woman discovered a rare tumor inside her ovaries. It's called a teratoma, and it can grow muscles, hair, and even bones and teeth. However, this teratoma also developed limbs, eyes, and a brain. In other words, it had pretty much everything it needed to become a conscious creature on its own, which is terrifying. And lastly, in 2014, an Australian man named Dylan Thomas came home from a vacation in Bali when he discovered a painful red line going from his belly button up his torso. And after 3 days of pain, doctors discovered that there was a spider crawling under his skin. Apparently, Thomas had just had an appendectomy performed on him, and the spider somehow snuck its way into his skull. Yeah, have fun trying to sleep tonight.
Dirty facts about history that school probably didn't teach you, part 1. Famous poet Edgar Allan Poe married his 13-year-old step-cousin at the age of 27. What are you doing, Step Poe? There is a legal pee-pee size in Iceland, and this comes from the Middle Ages where a man and a woman got married, and on their wedding night, the woman was so disappointed with how small it was that she took him back to the church to get a divorce. And because of her, a law was made that requires you to be 3 inches to get married. During times of war, some armies would wipe their poop on their weapons so that when they stab their enemies, they get that extra poison damage. There are many letters between Benjamin Franklin and various women that suggest that he might have had a fart fetish. The person who wrote Frankenstein lost her virginity on the top of her mother's grave. Great writer, but terrible funeral manners.
Yeah, those facts are blowing my reality.
Animals discovered in 2024, part 1.
Firstly, I present to you the skeleton panda sea squirt that was recently discovered off the coast of Japan in 2024. These sea creatures can live up to 7 to 30 years, and scientists really aren't too sure why they look like this, but they named them skeleton panda sea squirts because they literally look like baby skeletons dressed up for Halloween. This is awesome. Next, breeders in the US have recently just created a new hybrid cat. Meet the XL Bully Cat, which is mixed with the Sphinx and Munchkin cat. However, governments are already saying don't buy this cat due to its health problems by not having any hair and short legs. Yeah, I was not expecting this in 2024. Finally, in June, researchers found a new species of piranha-like fish, which looks like this right here. And they decided to name this fish Sauron, after Lord of the Rings, because these researchers seriously believe it looks just like it. And I mean, they're not really wrong.
Isn't that scary to think about, Seekers, man? Like, we still discovering new animals, new breeds in the oceans. That goes to show you how vast the ocean is, man. And if you really put it into context, it's the year 2024 and we still discovering new things about the ocean. It makes you wonder what else is lurking down there, man. That's why I don't be ruling out mermaids and sirens and things like that when I be watching this with you guys, because you truly never know.
Here are some dirty history facts I can guarantee you were never taught, part 2. If you ever told your history teacher any of these, they definitely go, what the fuck? According to private investigator Fred Stash, JFK was apparently a one-pump wonder, if you know what I mean. Ladies, for this one, I'm so sorry. For birth control, the Egyptian used a mix of ingredients, specifically 2, which included crocodile poop mixed with honey, and they would put it, yeah. Next, large eggplants, if you know what I mean, on the males of ancient Greece, were actually a sign of stupidity. Hence why all the statues have small ones, as it's actually a sign of being an intellect. Fuck! Stories go that King Tut was actually excited when he was mummified. That is definitely what I call a 2,000-year-old happy sleep. And finally, the whoopee cushion, revolutionary in today's society. But it actually dates back to the 14-year-old Roman Empire Elagabalus, when his whole legacy became inventing the whoopee cushion and pranking his dinner guests. Legend.
True prank legend, bro. Clap it up for him.
These are dirty animal facts you wish you never knew about, part 3. Up first, petting birds actually turns them on. They will start panting and shaking, and sometimes even puke on you. So the next chance you get to pet a bird, you might want to think twice about doing it. Next up, frogs sometimes might make a home out of elephant's poop. They do this because it provides shelter from the sun, and all the bugs crawling around in it make for an easy quick snack for the frog. This is absolutely disgusting, and it kind of ruined my day. Next up, several species of birds keep cool by pooping on themselves. It's called heroichosis, and it's how some birds like storks, condors, flamingos, and vultures keep cool. It seems to do the same thing as sweating, except that instead of sweat, these birds dribble poop down their legs.
Hey man, but there's something new every day. Birds poop on themselves to keep themselves cool. He said 7 species. You're gonna have to look that up, because I never do that.
And they didn't get a scientific name for hundreds of years, literally because the sailors traveling with them kept eating them before they made it back to London. So the giant tortoise population in Hispaniola Island was down ghastly. We're talking 12 females and 2 males away from getting discontinued permanently. That wasn't until they found a 3rd male, Diego. Diego peeped the census and knew what time it was. He locked in. They said, go Diego, go, and he came and went, and came and went, and came and then went.
Okay.
3 males were brought into the breeding program to try to save the species, and Diego proceeded to score a career high in spreading thighs. More rounds than Nick's cannon, the shell hefner got so active that he spawned over 900 children and fathered 40% of the turtles born in the breeding program. Immortalizing him as a tortoise that laid so much pipe, he carried the species. But there's something I didn't tell you. I said there were 3 males, but it was really Diego and friend, because turtle number 3 literally couldn't get laid if his species depended on it. Boy is more interested in Diego, but speaking of Diego, remember, I said 40%. That means turtle number 2 put in more work than he did. That turtle was E5, and I'm not a mathematologist, but numbers say he contributed 60%. But apparently, because Diego was a bigger and louder personality, he stole all the clout. Being named E5 probably didn't help. Either way, the turtle tag team saved their entire species, which now has more than 2,300 on the island. And both tortoises have since retired, and were returned back to Hispaniola to live with their turtle progeny, almost 80 years after they were first recruited. Moral of the story? Closed mouths don't get fed, especially when you're named after one of Elon's kids.
Just putting up freaking numbers, bro. They carried into these species, man. They saved them all. Tag team too, bro.
Was Buddha considered a Christian saint? The Eastern Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church both honor 2 saints named Balaam and Josaphat. On closer inspection, the story of this Indian prince, Josaphat, appears strikingly similar to the life of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. But how did this come to be? Well, the story originates from an early Christian adaptation of Siddhartha Gautama's life. As Buddhism traveled through Central Asia, its teachings spread along the trade routes to the Middle East. Here it was adapted into other belief systems like Manichaeism. In the 8th century, Islamic scholars translated a Buddha biography into Arabic as Kitab Bilawar wa Buddhasaf, which means the Book of Bilawar and Buddhasaf. By the 11th century, it was translated into Greek, where it became known as Balaam and Josaphat. This adaptation recast the Buddha story into a Christian moral tale, with Josaphat as a prince who renounces wealth after guidance from Balaam, a Christian hermit. This version aligned with the Christian teachings on renunciation and devotion.
Artifact porn, part 30. This is an ancient burial mound in Marathon, Greece, that contains the ashes of 192 Athenians who perished in the Battle of Marathon more than 2,500 years ago. It's an extremely rare surviving piece of Tyrian purple dye that was found in the remains of an ancient Roman bathhouse. The color was used to create the famed purple clothing of Roman emperors and was extremely difficult to make. Just 1 ounce of Tyrian dye took 250,000 snails to produce, as it was said to be worth more than 3 times its weight in gold. These photos show the incredible evolution of ancient Greek statues over the span of just a few hundred years. Just this past summer, a tourist at a beach in Bulgaria noticed a beach bar table that looked considerably old. Law enforcement soon called in some archaeologists who eventually identified the item as a 1,700-year-old ancient Roman sarcophagus. Information about the artifact's history and how it ended up on a beach resort remain unclear.
That's the true question. How did it end up there?
Know the chilling child abduction story behind the Amber Alert system?
No.
It was January the 13th, 1996 in Arlington, Texas. Amber Hagerman was just 9 years old. She'd been biking around the area near to her nan's house with her 5-year-old brother Ricky. She had a new bike that she'd been given for Christmas, so she was really enjoying playing on it. Now the pair were cycling up and down. They weren't going too far, but it was obviously a different time back then, and children used to just play freely outside. However, within seconds, this innocent bike ride would turn deadly. Ricky told his family later that he saw his sister bike into a car park and then vanish. Another eyewitness from the scene saw much more than that. A man in his 70s reported seeing the child get grabbed by a man in a black truck. The man looked in his 20s or 30s, according to the witness. The witness then obviously promptly phoned police. Despite a big search for the little girl, they had absolutely no idea where she'd gone. They kept hunting and found nothing until a dog walker stumbled upon something horrific 4 days later. Tragically, in a nearby creek was little Amber's body. She'd been stripped and her throat cut by either a knife or a screwdriver. Her body was found less than 5 miles away from where she was snatched. Now, police desperately searched for leads but came up with absolutely nothing. The local community were really anxious to try and do something to help. In the absence of being able to track down Amber's killer, a local woman, Diane Simone, rang into a local radio station. She wondered if a national alert system could be created to send information to people about missing children, like they do for severe weather warnings. With that, the AMBER system was born. The acronym stood for America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response. Tragically, Amber's murder still remains unsolved 28 years later. However, the Amber Alert created in her honor has gone on to save many more children who may have otherwise ended up dead.
2024 just got even crazier. Part 17. Firstly, just recently, while a tourist was at a beach bar in Bulgaria, he noticed that the table they were using looked odd. And it looked so odd, he called the authorities. Well, it turned out they were actually using a 1,700-year-old Roman coffin as a table. Yeah, the table was then taken away by the authorities, and my question is, how did they even come across this ancient artifact? Next, the Mountain Dew just announced that they are changing their logo back to their similar retro style on all of their products by 2025. You know, this is one of the first logo changes I actually like. Finally, just a couple weeks ago, the world's fattest cat, named Crumbs, who was 38 pounds, was sent to a fat camp to help Crumbs lose weight. Well, unfortunately, the fat camp was just too much for Crumbs, and Crumbs died after just weeks of being at the fat camp. R.I.P. Crumbs, what did they do to you?
R.I.P. Crumbs, man, down below, bro. How you get sent to a fat camp? You're supposed to lose weight, not lose everything, man. That's crazy.
Crazy tech facts you won't believe. Google rents goats to mow their lawns instead of machines. Over 90% of the world's currency only exists in digital form. The first computer virus was created in 1983. The first camera took 8 hours to capture a single photo. Can you believe we used to wait 8 hours for a single photo? Now with Send It, you can create AI images of yourself in seconds. It turns your Ask Me Anything answers into AI pictures. Someone asked me where I'd love to travel to, and Send It made this. You have to try this out. Download Send It and unlock your AI clone. Things that have been banned across the world, Part 3. Japan made obesity illegal in 2008. Iceland made strip clubs illegal in 2010. China made time travel illegal in 2011. Blue jeans have been banned in North Korea since 2010.
Blue Jeans, man. Don't they have, like, I'm about to say, isn't it a music group named Blue Jeans? The reason I know that's because, you know, FaZe Jason, bro, he blew up the freaking TikTok that went viral with the Blue Jeans song, so. But they freaking banned Blue Jeans in 2010. Time travel in China 2011. What they hiding from us, bro? And obesity's illegal in Japan. That's crazy that they made obesity illegal, bro.
18-year-old girl named Donna lived with her father, and ever since her mother died, she depended on her father for everything. One day, Donna's father left for a business trip and said he wouldn't be back until later that night. Later that day, Donna got home from school and watched TV, and when the clock struck midnight, she noticed her father wasn't back, so she went to bed. That night, Donna had a dream where she was standing on a busy highway. She then saw her father trying to yell something to her. She couldn't hear him, but noticed he looked sad and was desperately trying to communicate with her. She could barely make out what he was saying, but it sounded like, "Don't open the door."
Donovan woke up to someone ringing the doorbell. She then went to the door and looked through the peephole and saw her father's face outside. He was staring right at her and the doorbell was still ringing. She was about to open the door when she looked through the peephole again and noticed her father's eyes were wide open and he looked terrified. The doorbell then continued ringing as Donna begged her dad to answer. She then yelled, "I'm not opening the door until you answer me." The doorbell kept ringing, but her father refused to answer her. Donna then sat in the corner next to the door crying and listening to the doorbell ringing. She then fell asleep and woke up in the morning. She then got up and looked through the peephole and her father was still there. She then opened the door and saw something truly horrifying. Her father's severed head was hanging from a nail above the door and there was a note attached to the doorbell that said, "Clever girl."
Don't open that door, man, unless you hear a response. That's the moral of the story, that what I took from it. You never know who's lurking. That's an edit, bro. We see through that.
Will blow your mind. In a world's first, researchers at Osmo Labs have achieved the teleportation of smell. I mean, do you realize how crazy that is? Let me put it this way. So, as of right now, humans have only figured out how to teleport two of our senses. Sound, you know, with the telephone or speakers, and images with the screens that we look at all day. And we've done that because we've discovered a way to capture those senses digitally and then turn them into data that we can then send instantly. But now they've managed to do that with smell. So hypothetically, once they're able to replicate this process on machines outside of the lab, not only one day could you send someone a smell like you send them an image or a voice note. Oh my lord, the businesses that are going to come out of that one. I'll let the comments handle that. But also, and here's the craziest part, they say that by digitizing scent, they've effectively given computers a new sense. You better wake up in 2030 and your iPhone's going to tell you you stink. Go get a shower. Now the first smell they ever digitized was fresh plum. They captured the scent molecules in a digital format and then reprinted the exact same smell on the other side of the room, which came out looking like a regular clear liquid. And I guess that begs the question, what's going to happen to all of these expensive colognes once you can immediately reproduce them? Osmo Labs CEO on Twitter said, "Holy moly, I am still processing the magnitude of what we've done."
19-year-old woman whose body was found burned inside one of these walk-in ovens in Walmart. Let's hear what the employees have to say about all of this.
Okay, these ovens are so hard to shut from the outside. You have to push them. I'll show you.
Okay.
See that? You have to push it to click it. Now, watch me walk in. Look, I can touch both sides. You can touch both sides. You scrape the floor. You have to clean the floor all the time. There's no way this door, they're not self-shutting. You could even say you swing it open too hard when you get something out of the oven. Let's see what happens.
Alright. Not closing.
It's one of the good ovens I've worked with. I've worked at 7 different stores over the 8 years. There are stores where they don't even latch. You have to hold it shut while it bakes for 30 minutes. There are stores where it pops open. You have to shut it, pops open, shut it, pops open, shut it. There is no way that this girl locked herself into one of these ovens while cleaning it. No way possible. There's no way possible. Let me just show you the emergency button.
Emergency button 2?
Pops the door open. Pops the door open. In my opinion, there's no way she did that on her own.
So I've been seeing plenty of these videos where Walmart employees are showing us how these walk-in ovens work. But just to be clear, all the ovens in these Walmarts, depending on the location, are a bit different. They're not identical, but a lot of the features are almost the same. Something I consistently hear from the Walmart employees is that the door does not close on its own. Unless you try to close it with a lot of force, it doesn't just close and lock. There's also this inside the door, so if anyone was to get stuck, they can just easily open it and get out. Every video that I've watched created by a Walmart employee who works with these walk-in ovens insinuate that this young woman did not get stuck and that something else happened.
What do you guys think?
Just created
Something else happened?
by growing brains in a jar and connecting them to a computer made from stem cells that were stimulated in a special way to form neural tissue, which grew and eventually formed structures and even brainwave activity similar to that of a premature human baby. They then hooked up this brain into a computer, connecting it into a virtual world where it learned to play Pong completely from scratch. I want you to realize what this means. Like, this isn't a computer bot that was pre-programmed to know exactly how to play the game. That's easy. It's an organic brain that they grew themselves that was given Pong with no instructions, and it just taught itself how to play. Which is honestly nothing new. That's just AI. But this is organic AI, which happens to learn quicker and is also more energy efficient than traditional AI. It learned to play Pong in about 10 to 15 rallies, when a regular computer AI would take around 5,000. Albeit the computer AI can simulate those 5,000 rallies much quicker, but that takes a lot more computing power, which is sort of our main bottleneck with AI at the moment. Energy. This is organoid intelligence. Take human brain cells, grow them in a petri dish, and then use computers to train them just like AI. Naturally, there are ethical concerns rising as there is surmounting evidence showing us that these are conscious, like a human. Even the scientists working on it themselves admit these organoids are sentient. They took it a step further and tested out these organoid brains inside real physical robots, feeding them the sensory input of everything the robot experiences. And since the computer chip running it is organic brain matter, this technically, by definition, is a cyborg. Then there are companies like Final Spark that let you rent server space on these organoid brains, which essentially act like organic CPUs. You can even see live streams of the brain computers you're renting out. And now this next part right here, what they're doing here might actually prove simulation theory. So they have this virtual butterfly simulation that's controlled by the organoid brains, meaning the brains feel and experience everything the butterflies do. Again, the brains weren't trained or programmed how to be a butterfly. Just like they did with Pong, they were just fed the sensory feelings of being butterflies and kind of figured out themselves how to flap their wings and just exist. Much the same way you weren't pre-programmed to walk or talk. You experienced sensory inputs in the forms of sight, sounds, touch, and learned. Taught yourself along the way. This is an organic brain being fed computer data to make it believe it actually exists in a simulated world, and it's also likely sentient. This company essentially just created the Matrix for butterflies, and its consciousness is available for you to rent out. And when no one's using it, it still just continues to exist with no human interaction whatsoever. If the brains really are conscious, as the scientists suggest, they're not going to know they're this organoid computer brain in a lab hooked up to a virtual simulation. They're going to believe that they really are that butterfly. If that's the case, what's stopping all of us from being our own organoid brains in some lab in a different dimension? Meaning this, everything we see and experience right now is our own simulation that we've been plugged into, except we're not butterflies, we're humans. And everything we do, every decision we make is not by our own free will, but by some, I don't know, fifth dimensional entity renting server space in our brains. Just the same way this Final Spark neural platform lets us do. And when we sleep, maybe our idle brain computational power is used for other purposes, which we experience as dreams. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. You gotta sleep tonight. Are we really brain organoids, existing in our own petri dishes, connected to and experiencing a fully virtual, simulated world? Because we just pulled it off. And according to simulation theory, if we're capable of creating virtual simulated realities, then chances are we're already living in one.
He was spitting, bro. Gave me some new information, man. I'm definitely going to dive into, man. Are we in a reality, bro? Living in a fake reality? We in the Matrix right there, bro. We got to unplug ourselves, man. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video. Comment down below. Also, man, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the post notification bells. You guys gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.